Venezuela, and how U.S. sanctions prompted Venezuela to introduce their own cryptocurrency to sell oil. If you know anything about American intervention and its history in the past, it's that America will say elections are illegitimate, that there are human rights crises, that a leader is a dictator, and then try to remove him from power when he's not friendly to American companies, and won't allow their country's resources to be privatized. So, to avoid sanctions that the U.S. has placed on Venezuela, they have introduced a new cryptocurrency called Petro, and essentially Venezuela has the largest oil reserve in the Western Hemisphere. The president, Maduro, is in favor of keeping it nationalized and won't let private foreign companies come in. So the U.S. placed sanctions on Venezuela. Royal Bank of England has the power, apparently, to pick and choose what leaders it recognizes, even though it's not supposed to be a political institution. They still are making decisions based on their own economic interests and looting oil from Venezuela. Since 2018, Maduro has been trying to withdraw gold from the Royal Bank of England. The Royal Bank of England has refused to let Maduro withdraw gold because they don't recognize his presidency, because he's not friendly to foreign corporations. There have been several assassination attempts, and again, they're saying that he's a corrupt, dangerous, power-hungry authoritarian, but it really just boils down to he won't let American corporations and British corporations roll in and loot Venezuela's oil for profit. That's how America makes its enemies. In 2018, Maduro won the election by 67%. Neoliberal countries didn't recognize the election results, including America, Chile, Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Peña Nieto's Mexico, the EU, Canada, and OIS. He has increased public spending. In 2011, the government promised to build 3 million housing units, and by April of 2017, 1.6 million were built. In 2016, he introduced the local committee of Abastecimiento y Producción, where local committees introduced food distribution door by door. And due to U.S. sanctions, in 2014, the University of Caracas Medical Hospital had to stop performing surgeries because of lack of medical supplies. Some gold that he's been trying to withdraw since 2018 is going to be used for medical supplies and to fight COVID-19. Venezuela has some of the cheapest oil in the world. The reason why oil prices are so low is that the PDVSA is a government-owned company. Some people fear nationalization of companies, or say that it's socialist. It actually is socialist. But you can see that when large companies are privatized, all the profits go to like a very small group of people and board members and stockholders. But when resources are nationalized, the government can use it to pay for things. Venezuela has had a lot of inflation in prices and deflation of their currency, which is why they introduced their cryptocurrency Petro. It's so that people don't have to pay inflationary prices and use a oil-based crypto instead, which I think is really smart. And again, in America, we have central banks who can just print money and it always goes to companies. But in Venezuela, they are using crypto to sell oil and circumvent American sanctions. The US obviously has a thing for oil. Our dollar is based on oil prices, and it's harmful to the Venezuelan economy if oil is privatized, because then American and British and French and other Western countries are allowed to come in and extract oil, and none of that income goes towards public education or public health or transportation or clean water in the country. So US sanctions and the Bank of England's decision to drag its feet in recognizing Maduro's election also goes back to the Organization of American States. That is like an American group that goes around South America and polices their elections. If we've learned anything about America and police, it's that they're really fucked up. Recently, something similar happened in Bolivia. So Morales was the presidential candidate. He won. He had 47% of the popular vote. There was more than 2 candidates, so he had the majority. The OAS said that there are discrepancies between the early voting polling results and the regular voting polling results, but that's normal in any election because most people vote at the later deadline than on the early deadline. It's similar to college applications. You don't do early decision unless you're sure and you know like what your first choice is. So early access and early college applications have a lower turnout than the regular college application deadline. So same thing happened in Bolivia's election. The OAS came in, said that that election was illegitimate and refused to recognize Morales in Bolivia. The root of it is that Morales is in favor of keeping the mines nationalized again, because when a government has Bolivia is in favor of keeping mines nationalized, because when the government controls the production out of mines, they can use revenue to pay for public education, clean water, electricity, and improving transportation infrastructure. When a country privatizes its resources, it goes to the highest bidder. That highest bidder is always a Western country, usually America, and lithium is in batteries. So the OAS coming in and suddenly having issue with Venezuela's election and not recognizing Maduro, it's like the same old story. They just want to make sure that Western countries can come in and privatize industries, and that countries in South America can't profit off of their own resources. The structural adjustment programs that the IMF and the World Bank introduced. The problem with structural adjustment programs is that they always call for cutting public spending, privatizing industry, and lowering wages in favor of less spending by governments, which means more people go hungry, there's issues with electricity, and housing costs go up, and people can't afford it. So under Morales in Bolivia, the company Vechain was prevented from privatizing water. The economy grew by 4.9% per year. Real GDP per capita grew over 50% in 13 years. Poverty decreased from 60% to 35% from 2006 to 2017, and unemployment fell from 7.7% to 4.4%. So Morales is not an illegitimate leader, a corrupt dictator, doing far better than any Western countries. What if the Royal Bank of England is just broke? Like, the banking families have already emptied Venezuela's vaults, and they're just waiting for like an American mercenary group to go in and remove Maduro from power. The Royal Bank of England is broke. Or they're just authoritarians, imperialists, and fascists who are trying to steal Venezuela's oil. Maduro's awards: he won the Order of the Liberator, April 19th, 2013 by Venezuela, Order of the Liberator General, May 8th, 2013 by Argentina. President Mauricio Marci, who revoked Maduro's award, was also involved in the Panama Papers. So if a leader who's keeping offshore bank accounts doesn't like you, then it's probably a sign you're doing something right. He also won the Award of the Condor of the Andes, May 26, 2013 by Bolivia, by Bicentenary Order of the Admiral Campaign, June 15, 2013 by Venezuela, Star of Palestine, Free Palestine, May 16, 2014, Order of Augusto Caesar Cedeno, March 17, 2015 by Nicaragua, Order of Jose Martin, March 18, 2016 by Cuba, Order of Lenin by Communist Party of the Russian Federation. America loves to spread propaganda about leaders who aren't friendly to American corporations.